Mueller's report focused on obstruction in addition to collusion, and the obstruction portion of it, I think, brought up a number of issues that the American public should be aware of, and you should especially be aware of as you watch some of the comments coming from Attorney General William Barr. So the report detailed Trump's efforts to thwart the investigation. The report said that by virtue of his position as president, he had the authority to carry out several of the acts in question, including firing James Comey as FBI director. So the report says, look, as president, he can go ahead and fire the FBI director, but it also continues to talk about some of the efforts to harm the investigation. These actions ranged, and this is the report, I'm reading from the report. These actions ranged from efforts to remove the special counsel and to reverse the effect of the Attorney General's recusal, to the attempted use of official power to limit the scope of the investigation, to direct and indirect contacts with witnesses with the potential to influence their testimony.
So
that's huge.
I can't tell if that's a description of what he did or if that's a description of all of the potential ways one could obstruct justice.
No. I mean, if you read the report,
it sounds like that's a bullet point list of how you diagnose obstruction.
That's right, and these are things that Trump's accused of doing.
Exactly.
So this is the reason why it's so important for the public to have access to this report. Because if you simply rely on what William Barr says, I mean, it conflicts quite a bit with what the actual report says. Let me give you more. Again, this is from Mueller's report. In early 2018, the press reported that the president had directed McGahn, that was the lawyer McGahn, to have the special counsel removed in June of 2017, and that McGahn had threatened to resign rather than carry out the order. The president reacted to the news stories by directing White House officials to tell McGahn to dispute the story and to create a record stating he had not been ordered to have the special counsel removed.
We should be done with this topic with that.
Okay, so one of the things that's really standing out is the differences in the legal standard, right? And so with someone like William Barr, I've heard legal experts refer to him and his theory, his legal theories, as fringe legal theories, because in his mind, if there was no underlying crime, and in this investigation, the potential underlying crime was conspiracy, if that hasn't been proven and he's not guilty of conspiracy, well then he can't be guilty of obstructing justice. That is the argument that they keep making.
Yeah, and that's BS.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not only BS from my non-legal standpoint, it's another area where, man, the people who got the Barr memo and were like, this confirms everything I've ever said, we win, and we're so excited. And some now still I saw tweeting saying, well, I mean, the Mueller report pretty much confirms everything. Like, what you just said about the no underlying crime means you don't have to worry about obstruction of justice was in the Barr memo. The Mueller report not only doesn't say that, but it specifically lies out why you do not need an underlying crime. There's a gigantic paragraph specifically about that. And then on top of that, also lays out other explanations for potential underlying crimes other than conspiracy or coordination that could justify obstruction of justice charges.
Yes.
It was in the report, a big section. Barr saw it. And he didn't care.
That's right.
Because that's what he got into that position because he doesn't believe that obstruction of justice is a real thing. He is there to protect powerful people from the consequences of their actions. That's what he auditioned for with his 19-page letter to Trump last year, and that's why he has the position today.
He must have been bored in retirement.
I guess.
Devastatingly bored.
I guess, but again, on two of the biggest issues, the Barr memo is directly contradicted by what's in the Mueller report.
Yes, exactly. So let me give you more. And again, this is going back to what happened or what transpired between Donald Trump and McGahn. McGahn told those officials that the media reports were accurate in stating that the president had directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed. The president then met with McGahn in the Oval Office and again pressured him to deny the reports. In the same meeting, the president also asked McGahn why he had told the special counsel about the president's effort to remove the special counsel and why McGahn took notes of his conversation with the president. Allegedly, McGahn had responded to Trump by saying, I'm paraphrasing, I'm a lawyer, I'm supposed to take notes, I take notes. Trump thought it was strange.
I think he said, I'm a real lawyer. And Trump was like, I've had lots of lawyers, they never take any notes. Yeah, you don't like a paper trail. That's suspicious, is what that is.
Let me give you more. And again, this is Mueller's report. We were not persuaded by the argument that the president has blanket constitutional immunity to engage in acts that would corruptly obstruct justice through the exercise of otherwise valid Article 2 powers protecting the integrity of its own proceedings and the proceedings of Article 3 courts and grand juries. So that is what you were alluding to earlier, John. It shows that there is a difference in legal interpretation between Robert Mueller and William Barr. So let me give you, so that is what stood out to me personally when it came to the obstruction portion of the report. Of course, the report came out this morning. It was hundreds of pages, over 400 pages, and more information is gonna come in as we pour over it, as other journalists pour over it. But I do think that it's interesting to juxtapose William Barr's interpretation and what the report really says.
Yeah, and look, we can go to their conclusion. I also have my conclusion. I think that what was revealed on obstruction of justice and the reaction to it thus far should horrify us, I think. I think that it is the best example yet of how much has been normalized over the past couple of years of Trump's presidency that we now think that this is acceptable. He did way worse stuff than Nixon did, which took down Nixon. But for Trump, it's like maybe he'll get a bad news cycle out of it. He obstructed justice under one condition: that obstruction of justice has any meaning whatsoever. Either it does or it doesn't. If you can fire the head of the FBI and then try to push out your AG and then try to remove the special counsel himself and then bring in an AG whose only qualification is a sense of profound loyalty to you as an individual, if you can do all of that while also tampering with witnesses, dangling pardons and attacking them in social media, lying about virtually every aspect of the investigation, trying to get others to lie about the investigation, not actually cooperating in terms of sitting down with the investigator and testifying, if you can do all of that, then I am asking you a 100% serious, honest question. What could a future president possibly do that would count as obstruction of justice if this doesn't? In the future, I've been saying for like 2 years now, even if you don't care about anything to do with Russia, you should be terrified about what he's doing in terms of obstruction of justice, because this is a precedent now for no accountability for the president ever again on anything. And up until now, we have had a couple of different ways to stop the president from breaking the law, something a president has many opportunities to do. Either he has a personal sense of ethics that stops him from breaking the law, or we have accountability in terms of investigations. Unless Congress does something about this, that one is gone. And so now all we have is the hope that they are a good person and that they personally don't want to break the law. We know that that doesn't stop Donald Trump. Maybe we'll get lucky with future presidents and they will feel like they should not do bad things. But any president could break the law from now on. And why would they ever have to fear an investigation? Let the investigation start. Fire them all. Fire all of them.
Yeah, I think that this does set a dangerous precedent, and I think that Trump has surrounded himself with people, including William Barr, who believe that the executive branch has the most power, does not believe in what our Constitution is supposed to protect, which is checks and balances, 3 branches of government. And I just want to, in terms of the obstruction allegations, I want to read you one more portion from the Mueller report that I thought was important. So it writes, if we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, we would state so.
Yeah.
So that's important to keep in mind. And while Trump has surrounded himself with people who protect him, while the Senate is full of Republicans who are more interested in protecting him rather than doing what's right for the country, I just want you to think about how these very Republicans responded to and handled the investigation into Bill Clinton when he engaged in an affair with an intern. And with that said, let's go to this old video of Senator Lindsey Graham. Again, he's commenting on Bill Clinton.
He doesn't have to say go lie for me to be a crime. You don't have to say let's obstruct justice for it to be a crime. You judge people on their conduct, not magic phrases.
Yeah, there's no way that Trump passes that test, obviously. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the Democrats with what they've said, which I find to be a little bit worrisome. But it is good to know that we do have some strong progressives in office right now. And I saw that Bernie Sanders came out after this, and he was saying that further investigations by Congress are warranted. AOC said that she is, as a result of this report, she's signing on to Rashida Tlaib's impeachment proposal. And so thankfully, we do have strong progressives that are taking these concerns seriously.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.